Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be doing Lecture 30, Systems of Equations by Elimination. Now, last time we learned how to solve systems of equations by substitution, and we were solving systems of equations that were in the form ax plus by is equal to c. That's going to be my first equation. And notice that it's in standard form because x and y are on the same side. Let's add a second equation to that. Dx plus ey equals f. So that's my second equation. So we're going to be looking at systems of equations like this today. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using these systems and using elimination to solve them. So let's check out some of the questions on the classwork. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is number 5. I've got 10x plus 9y equals negative 29. And 7x minus y equals negative 13. So what I want to do for this system is I want to take the top equation and the bottom equation and somehow add them up or subtract them to get 0x or 0y. Now currently, none of the numbers match up. I've got a 10 and a 9 at the top, and on the bottom, I've got a 7 and I've got a negative 1y. So none of the numbers in front of the variables match up. So what I need to do is I need to multiply one of these lines by a number so that they actually do match up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the bottom line by 9. So I'm going to put the entire bottom row inside parentheses, and I'm going to multiply it by 9. What that's going to do is it's going to multiply every single number by 9. So let's see what happens when we do that. I'm going to draw my line underneath. My top equation is going to stay the same. So I still have 10x plus 9y equals negative 29. But the bottom row is going to change. I'm going to multiply every single number by 9. 7 times 9 is 63. And I put the x beside it. Negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. And I put the y beside that. And then negative 13 times 9 is going to give me negative 117. So now, notice that the y numbers match up. Look at the numbers in front of the y. I've got a positive 9 and a negative 9. Now I can add those up to get 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plus sign off to the side inside parentheses, and I'm going to add these two lines. 10x plus 63x is 73x. So I add the x terms first. Now I'm going to add the y terms. 9 plus negative 9 is 0y, so I don't need to write that. And then over here, I've got negative 29 plus negative 117. That's going to give me 9 plus 7 is 16. carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And then I have a 1 right here. And it's going to be negative. So now what we've done is we've eliminated the y's. So basically, the positive 9y and the negative 9y cancel each other out. So I don't even need to put 0y. It's already 0. The last thing that I'm going to do to get x by itself is divide both sides by 73. So when I divide the left side by 73, the 73s are going to cancel, leaving me with just an x. And then on the other side, I have negative 146 divided by 73. That's going to give me negative 2. And I'm running out of space, so I'm going to do it on the right side. I get x equals negative 2. That's going to be my answer for the x value. So now that I know what x is, I need to find out what y is. How can I do that? I can plug back into the top equation right here, or I can plug back into the bottom equation right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the top equation. But you could choose the bottom one and get the exact same answer. So I write out the top equation, just like I see it, and I'm going to let every x I see be negative 2. So I'm going to change this x into a negative 2 and see what happens. Ten times negative 2 is negative 20. So I multiply those two numbers and I get negative 20. Now I need to get rid of that negative 20. So I'm going to add 20 to both sides. When I add 20 to both sides, that's going to get rid of the 20s on the left side, so I can cross them out. And I'm left with 9y is equal to negative 9. So now the last thing I need to do to get y by itself is to divide both sides by positive 9, because that's what's in front of the y right now. And I'm trying to get rid of it. So let's divide by 9, divide by 9. The good thing about that is the 9s are going to cancel out, leaving me with just a y. And then negative 9 divided by 9 is negative 1. So y equals negative 1. And I'm going to put a box around that because I just figured out what y is. Once you know what x is and what y is, you can write it as an ordered pair. And I'm going to do that in blue. Now, when you write your ordered pair, you want to start off with parentheses like I'm doing. And you want to always make sure you put the x number first. So I'm going to put the negative 2 in for x, and then I'm going to put the negative 1 in for y. And that's going to be my answer. Negative 2, negative 1. Now, if you want to check your answer, you can graph both of these original equations in Desmos and see where the lines cross. So I'm going to go over to Desmos, and I'm going to type in 10x plus 9y equals negative 29. That's my top equation. You can see that the equation is going to generate a line. But the bottom equation was 7x minus y is equal to negative 13. And that's going to generate the red line. And where do the two lines cross? Right here. -2, -1. So that's one of the ways that you can check your answer, is by graphing. And -2, -1 is exactly what we got right here. Okay, let's try number 7 from the classwork. Number 7 says -3x plus 3y equals 6. That's going to be my top equation. And then my bottom equation is going to be -x plus y equals 2. So right now, what I want to do is I want to either add up the two lines or subtract the two lines so that I get 0x or 0y. That's what I'm trying to do. But the problem is none of the numbers match up. I've got a -3 on top. I've got a -1 on the bottom. I've got a 3 on top and a 1 on the bottom. So if I add up, I'm not going to be able to get 0. So what I need to do is I need to multiply one of the lines or both of the lines by a certain number so that they match up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the bottom line by -3. And the reason for that is so that the x's and the y's will match up. So let's see what happens when I multiply by -3. First of all, the top line is going to stay the same. We're not multiplying the top line by anything so far. We're only multiplying the bottom line. But when I multiply by -3 on the bottom, every single number is going to get multiplied by -3. This -1 is going to get multiplied by -3 to get positive 3x. And this positive 1y is going to get multiplied by the -3 to get -3y. And then over here, I have a 2, obviously. So 2 times -3 is -6. Now, notice that the numbers match up. I've got a -3x on top, and I've got a positive 3x on the bottom. So if I add the two lines, I should get 0x. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add up the two lines now. So put your plus sign in parentheses off to the side like this, and then draw your line. And we'll add up the x terms, the y terms, and the regular numbers. -3x plus positive 3x is going to give you 0x. 3y plus -3y is going to give you 0y. So the y terms also cancel out. And then 6 plus -6 is also going to give you 0. So 0 times x is 0. 0 times y is 0. Because if you multiply by 0, you're always going to get 0. And then 0 plus 0 is 0. So in the end, I get 0 equals 0. That's actually a true statement. And whenever you have a true statement, your answer is going to be infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. So that means that any point on the line will solve this system of equations. So what I'm going to do to prove this to you is we're going to graph the two equations and we'll check our answer. So I'm going to go to Desmos and I'm going to type in the top equation first. That was negative 3x plus 3y is equal to 6. I get that blue line right there. The bottom equation is negative x plus y is equal to 2. And I get that green line. And notice that the blue line and the green line are the exact same line. So how many times do the two lines cross? An infinite number of times. So any point on this line will be a solution. That's why there's infinitely many of them. Okay, let's do the last one that we're going to talk about today, number 9. Number 9 says 8x minus 10y is equal to 20. And then the bottom equation is 6x minus 7y is equal to 18. So notice as it stands right now, none of the numbers match up. The x numbers don't match up. I've got 8 and 6. But the y numbers don't match up either. I've got negative 10 and negative 7. So what I need to do is I need to multiply one of the lines or both of the lines by a number so that the numbers actually match up. So here's what I can do. I can concentrate on the x terms or the y terms, but I think it's going to be easier to do the y terms. So let's do that. I'm going to change to yellow. I'm going to put the top line in parentheses and the bottom line inside parentheses. So what can I multiply the top line by? I've got a negative 10. On the bottom, I have a negative 7. How can I make these two numbers the same? Well, 10 and 7 can both become 70, right? So I would have to multiply the top line by 7 because 10 times 7 is 70. But then the bottom line, I would have to multiply that by 10. And I'm actually going to multiply by negative 10 so that the signs are different. Let's see what that does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top line by 7. 8 times 7 is 56. Negative 10 times 7 is negative 70. And 20 times 7 is 140. So I multiplied the top line by 7. Now let's multiply the bottom line by negative 10. What happens when I multiply 6 by negative 10? I get negative 60. Now let's do the y. What's negative 7 times negative 10? That's going to be positive 70. And then what's 18 times negative 10? That's going to be negative 180. So now notice that the y numbers are matching up because I've got that negative 70 now and that positive 70. So now I can add the two lines to get rid of the y's. So let's add up the two lines and see what we get. I'm going to put a plus sign off to the side, just to remind you that you're adding now. 56 plus negative 60 is negative 4. Negative 70 plus 70 is 0, so I don't have to write that. And 140 plus negative 180 is negative 40. So now, to get x by itself, I need to divide both sides by negative 4. And when I do that, I'm going to get positive 10 for x. and the negative 4s are going to cancel out. I'll put a box around 10. So I know what x is. Now I need to figure out what y is. But that's pretty simple. All you got to do is plug back in, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the top equation. 8x minus 10y is equal to 20. And we're going to let x be 10 and see what happens. So I'm going to replace x with a 10. Everything else stays the same. I'm replacing x with a 10. 8 times 10 is going to give me 80. But everything else stays the same. I need to subtract 80 from both sides. So that way I can get rid of the 80. They're going to cancel out. And I'm left with negative 10y equals 20 minus 80. That's negative 60. So now the last thing I need to do to get y by itself is to divide both sides by negative 10. And when you do, you get negative 60 divided by negative 10. That's going to give you a positive 6. And the negative 10s are going to cancel out. So now I know what my y value is. It's going to be 6. So when I write my ordered pair, I'm going to put x first. That's going to be 10. And then I put y second. That's going to be 6. And you can graph these on Desmos to check.